her phone is like, is it
It looks like
gradually?
it keeps, yeah.
Like first we saw like your sign, and then now we see lessons.
Well, I noticed the sign. I was like, oh dang, I didn't put it on the sign. So, there we go.
There we go.
Now we're back. And welcome back to the Riley Black Project with Crystal and John.
Hey.
And that's the Riley Black Project. My voice is going out.
Hey, Squeaks.
Yeah. Hey.
How you doing?
I feel okay, but as you can tell, my voice.
Right.
And it's perfect because we are doing two podcasts
episodes
this week.
1 week.
So,
well, for us, we're recording
right,
two because we're
going to Colorado
next week.
Colorado, as JR says.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And we polled you guys last year, and we're like, should we skip a week?
Right. Y'all don't want to give us some breaks. So
yeah, and you were like,
double up.
No weeks off. So so we're doubling off.
So we got to double
We're
up.
doubling up and taking a week off.
Yeah. So hopefully my voice makes it through this episode and the following one.
Right. Yep. And the next one.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
So how you doing?
Doing okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had some really good days with JR, and then we had a pretty rough one yesterday. He has a new teacher, and
that we
really like her.
Yeah.
So I'm hopeful that will maybe not necessarily like fix it, but
make things
won't
better,
contribute to it. I talked to the principal and let him know
what's going on in class.
Yeah,
because she seems very receptive to communication.
Yeah. And I let the principal know how I felt about the lack of communication that was going on when we were like in the thick of it.
Mm-hmm.
We have yet another appointment tomorrow.
Right.
So I'm hopeful again that we'll kind of get somewhere with something.
Right.
And more so than just try this and hit me up in 6 weeks.
Right. 6 weeks. Right.
Yeah. So like the last one. So just making it through. I realized that we leave in 5 days.
Yeah.
There's 5 days left for me to do everything on that list.
Right. I was going to say, how's the rush going for you?
It's going. It's been hard because there's been days where I need to work, but just mentally, physically, I haven't like been able to.
Right.
So that's hard because, I'm having to balance the two. And they don't exactly they're not exactly nice to each other.
Right. They're not balanced.
Yeah. So, we'll see how the next 5 days goes. I need to look at the list and cause you can reorganize it. We're testing out, this app called Trello that,
not sponsored by the way.
Yeah, right. We can be if you want to. But I heard about it from Heather, but I've also heard about it from others. I had heard it before. And I'm trying it out, one for business to organize the 17 million things I have going on, but then we're also doing it personally for stuff that we need to get done before the trip and that kind of stuff. And you can make these lists and you can actually reorganize them. So we can move. Yeah. So I'm going to move stuff around and okay, this is top priority. That way I can make sure to just be
doing what you should be doing.
Exactly. Not wasting my time on this and that could wait until we get back if it really needs to, that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'll be doing that today. I think that's it.
That's it.
Yeah. What about you,
cool.
Squeaks?
Well, me, going through it with my voice.
Yeah.
Had a death in the family.
Yeah.
My grandmother's sister passed. Not necessarily unexpectedly, but it's never really expected when it does come. She was sick for a while, so she's not suffering anymore.
When that day comes.
Yeah. So we had the funeral yesterday that I almost missed because
because of
time
miscommunication.
I heard 3 to 4, and it's really 2 to 3.
Yeah.
But we were there for her. What is it? Entombment, I guess.
When they put her
in the wall in the crypt.
Yeah.
So. We missed the viewing, but we were there for the other part, which was nice, and saw family, saw a cousin I hadn't seen in since I was
little
preteen.
Yeah.
And we connected on social media and stuff. So it was nice. Now my grandmother, it originally I think it was 8 siblings, now it's only 2, her and 1 in Cuba.
Yeah.
So it's it's tough when that's the reason why family gets together.
Right.
But yeah. So that's all.
Yeah.
That's all with me.
And then we came home to a terror. The breakdown started in the car.
Yeah, over goldfish. That he later on didn't even want goldfish for dinner.
That's the craziest part of all of it. I don't know if this person wants to be named, but someone had reached out to me after one of our last episodes where I was kind of like cryptically talking about like what's going on with JR and everything. And, she opened up and told me, what she's going through or what she went through. It's past for her. But it just really helped, Sorry. It just really helped. I had mentioned that MJ had reached out to me before and offered to be like our advocate if we needed it. And and this other person, just shared a lot and very similar occurrences where like these massive breakdowns start over like something ridiculously simple and then they go on for hours almost. And it's hard. I mean, it got to the point yesterday that I had to take Jackson outside of the house because he was starting to scare Jackson. So and it's just he's an overall sweet, kind, caring
even in
kid.
Class, even
and it's
in
just,
school when we met with
the teachers are shocked
said that he was
does this
great. He comes to class fine, even though early morning to get into school, he's ripped from my arms because he doesn't want to go. Although, again, lately it's been a lot better. But those little instances earlier this month, but the teacher said, "Oh no, he comes to class with a smile on his face."
Yeah, bumps elbows when he walks in.
We'll see.
We're going through it. So sometimes when you see me, I might be faking it. Sometimes I might be having a good day. And if you see less of me, his squeaks is rubbing off on me. If you see a little less of me, which I've definitely not been as active as I was starting to ramp up on my Riley Black Designs Instagram and stuff, I'm kind of just doing what I can on that day. Like I'm not making any crazy expectations of myself or anything because, again, I have to make sure to take care of me too, because it's been really hard when those breakdowns start. I was telling Heather yesterday, I was like, the first thing my mind does is look for an exit. Like when it was happening in the car, like my brain was like, can we get out? Is it and we were at a stoplight and it was like, I wanted, and I think I said it out loud. I was like, I want to get out of the car. And I know I can't, I know that's unsafe and it wouldn't be effective.
It'd be a long walk home.
But it's where my brain goes is I want to escape. So I need to make sure to take care of me during all of it and get away when I can, which I'm not great about. I need to probably when you are home or when the kids aren't here, do even if it's just go to the store or, stuff like that and just make sure that I'm getting me time that isn't consumed by work time. So yeah. Hoping for better days.
Yes.
Soon.
Better days are coming.
I'm determined to we're gonna have a better year next year. We fucking have to, because this one was a doozy. And the hardest part was that I had just updated Heather and Emily on everything with JR, and I had just literally celebrated the wins, because I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to celebrate when there's been good things to happen, and it was literally just hours later, and it was this slap in the face of, remember how you said that out loud? Boom. Don't say that out loud, because here you go. And it makes you feel like you can't celebrate the wins, and it really it encourages that pessimistic side of me, which I don't want. I'm trying to make sure to focus on the right things, but it's really hard when you choose to, and then it's just kidding.
Here you go.
So yeah,
well,
we got this.
Yes, we do. We can get through it.
Yes.
Well, with that, I think it's time to get our guests on the line.
All right.
We'll be right back.
Okay.
And we're back with our guest, Kimberly Shetron with Whippoorwill Charm.
Hi.
Hi.
Sorry for my voice.
It's all good. It's all good.
Losing the voice. Really
We
quick
forgot.
before we get into your
Shout-outs.
story, we forgot shout outs in the
But
intro.
only temporarily. Sometimes I forget
Yeah,
them.
the
I
whole
mention them
episode.
and then
Right.
don't know how to get back to them.
So we just forgot in the intro. So we'll read them real quick and then
Okay.
we'll get right back with you.
So we have David, Alexander, Stephanie, Kayla, Barbie, Madison, Danny, Catherine, Renee, Emily, Amanda, Keith, Josie, Mark, Kathy, MJ, Ryan, and Will.
And as always, thank you guys for your continued support on Patreon.
And guess who still hasn't gotten me their ad script for the ads they paid for?
I mean, let's not get into what people have and haven't done because in the After Dark, our boy, he dropped that. And, hey, what is up with my sign? So let's not get into who's done what and who hasn't done anything.
Why you gotta throw it back on me?
I'm just saying. Will's not the only one dropping balls.
Whatever.
Anyway, back to our guests.
Back to Kimberly.
Kimberly, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are y'all?
Good.
We're good.
Hanging in there. How's the busy season for you?
It's good this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. We put out our stuff a month earlier, so I'm kind of on
good.
the hill now.
Nice.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. Are you sticking to your plan?
Oh yeah.
Because everyone usually starts off with a plan, and
right,
then they either take more orders and they extend, or they get through everything early.
Well, like
so they keep going. Yeah.
Liz was just telling me she signed up for another vendor event because she had a successful one.
Right.
So now she has the itch for another event, but she's like she checks in every once in a while. She's like, "Hi, I love you guys. I'm drowning. I'll be back."
So everything's going good?
Yeah. Going good.
So I came across her. I think she shared a picture or a video in That Mom with the Laser, and it might have even been, I think it was like early on with our podcast. So to the point where I didn't feel like comfortable like reaching out to like strangers yet. Of course I went to my friends first and then, got comfortable and was like, oh, okay, let me reach out to other people.
Right.
But I saw the video of her like warehouse basically. And I was like, holy crap, there's so many lasers. And I was like, that's amazing. And then we also actually both help out on Emily's Laser Launch Academy. We're one of the, I don't know what she calls us, laser experts or something like that. Yeah. So we help her out. She's like the boss person, boss lasers. And then I don't know what I am, the Mira acrylic, whatever, silhouette person. So how did you tell us a little bit about your backstory? How the heck did you get to all those lasers you got now?
Right. Well, it all just kind of happened. Like, I actually have a degree in accounting / business.
Same.
So I was working at a place here in town, and my mom and sister were like, hey, let's do this craft show. And I'm like, I mean, I've always been kind of crafty, but I've never made like door hangers and all that.
Right.
So I had my husband out there with the jigsaw cutting us out stuff. And like that next week, people from work were like, hey, can you make me a J for my door? Can you make me a P for my door? And then it just kind of escalated.
Snowballed.
Yeah. And our community has been such a big support for us. And that's really what launched our business. So from there, I was like, Etsy was kind of coming about. This was probably, 8 years ago, 7 years ago. So I was like, well, I'm going to make an Etsy and just do some painted signs on there. So I did that. And then it was like, I can't keep up with these painted signs. So,
and was he still using the jigsaw at that point?
Yes.
Okay.
A friend of mine down the street got a laser, and this was like 7-8 years ago. No, probably 9 years ago now.
Yeah.
And she said, hey, I can, cut more intricate things for you if you want.
Yeah.
So then we started doing like the monogram door hangers and, the circle with the letter in them. And it just kind of went off from there. I think because we were kind of just getting into it, like when it was
getting hot.
Really becoming a thing. So I did Etsy for probably like 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Had about 5 employees. I had people painting for me and helping me paint.
Nice.
And about a year in, I bought my own laser. So I was the designer / laser cutter / painter / boxer.
Right.
So I had a couple girls painting for me. I had one bowing and like finishing signs. And so from there, I had people just start asking like, hey, can I get this without it painted?
Yeah.
And then kind of a light bulb went off like,
right.
You mean I don't have to paint anymore?
Right. I love when people, especially when I did work with wood, it was amazing when they'd like, they'd want something that meant that I had to do less work. They're like, but can you send it to me? And I don't want to paint it. I don't want it assembled. What I'm like, you mean so I get to do half the work? Okay.
Right. And so it just I started trying to build that clientele to the point where I could drop Etsy because I catered mainly to like baby door hangers. And no offense to any pregnant mamas out there, but y'all are crazy.
Yeah. And wives, I don't know, like the people who do wedding events or only like things for expecting moms, like you're a whole level of like, you got to have a lot of patience because those people, like, those are high stress situations. And so you have to be like, you're just patient and understanding and know that like, they're probably not necessarily angry or mad at you. They're just stressed about everything. The
whole situation. And I've been there. So
same.
So by then so basically when I built up enough to stay busy enough with the one laser, we added a second laser. Then we were limited on space. So then added a second. I worked out of they call it a she shed now, like a little portable barn.
Right.
And so I added a second one. And by then we had 5 lasers, like when we added the second one.
So did you have you were working, right, in accounting? And at what point did you were you still working in accounting with 5 lasers, or at what point did you transition to like full-time laser?
So when I decided I had enough business to pay the bills, I guess you could say, I went ahead and quit. My husband had a steady, good job that, so he was our breadwinner for a long time when I was, I was painting furniture, had booths, doing sign. You do whatever you can to pay the bills.
Yep.
Especially when you first start. And then I had to just kind of like zone it in. Like I had to focus on one thing because I was like, I'm never going to grow being so spread out. So so I was like, I'm just going to focus on door hangers.
Yeah.
And so that has been our number one for years.
Right.
So I just slowly got out of the painting of the door hangers. And then you enter a whole nother realm of women. They're all running businesses. They're all, especially this time of year, they're stressed out. They're, they depend on you so much.
Right.
And it's just been awesome. Like I love our wholesalers and our customers. Like they've just become friends, and it's such an awesome community.
So
the laser world.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, lately we've been dealing with some stuff personally, and I'm shocked at how like the people who are my crutch right now end up being like the laser people. They're like, listeners or guests on the podcast or friends I've met from laser groups and that kind of stuff. And it's just crazy how it's morphed into that, Yeah.
Yeah. I have one lady that literally was a customer to begin with, that our families, we live hours apart, and we get together. It's like crazy. It's
right. I love it. Those are my favorite parts. Yeah. So how did you go from the 2 she sheds with 5 lasers to like, where are you now? Because you have 10, right?
We have 15.
Woo! God.
15. So I grew up.
I'm bad.
Wow.
I just got one little. It's not little, but it's little compared to the amount she had.
15.
Well, having more is just more headache. Trust me.
Yeah.
That power grid must be crazy to run 15 lasers.
Right. Well, I grew up like super poor, and so I've always been like most people go into a business, and if they see they're going to do well, they're going to go get a loan and get 10 lasers and build a big building, and that causes me like extreme anxiety.
Same.
Like if I can't stop today and pay my bills, then I don't want to do it, you know? And that's just a security thing. Like,
for sure.
But, so we started small, like as I could get another laser, I would get another laser. I was able to pay for my little second she shed. You know, we just paid cash for it. It was like $1,800. Like, I'm not opposed to sitting in. We called it the ghetto shack. No windows. It was you know, we're out here in the country.
Exactly what you needed with nothing extra.
But then when we were having to like cut in one building, paint in one building, carry it to another building, this building.
I was going to say production probably was a little bit difficult.
It was very difficult, especially at Christmas time. It was like, I just want to quit. You know, you're just so busy, and you just can't meet everybody's needs, and then you let people down, and then you feel terrible. So I was like, you know what? I went to this women's seminar, and I talked to this lady from my community, and she was like, look, you need to just build a building. You need to get all under one roof. And so I came back. This was like January of 2020. So I came back, and I was like, look, we're building a building. We're buying more machines. This is what we're doing. So in March of 2020, before all the crap
something happened.
My building was being built before all that started.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So thankfully I was able to pay for that building. So I didn't have the stress of like pandemic and all that. But our business just exploded through COVID because people were saying
a lot of ours did. They
were at home. They were bored. To-go kits was like
the thing.
And we really try to like keep our customers going, like with their business. You know, if they're successful, we're successful, and it's just an all around, just a circle of stuff. But so we really promoted like to-go kits, and people couldn't even get cups. I was shipping them cups from Arkansas, so they could continue with their business. They were doing porch pickups and all this. And so by November of that year, I had bought 3 more lasers and was back in the sheet. So I said, you know what, we're just going to have to bite the bullet and get a loan and get a bigger building. And that's kind of been what I tried not to do forever. But my husband was like, look, this is not working. We have people in different buildings. It was just a nightmare. So I guess November of last year, it was about a year and a half after we built our other building, we built this one. It's 5,000 square feet.
Wow.
And then we have all our 15 lasers in a line. And it like, I haven't had to work 100-hour week at all this year.
Nice.
And last year, it was weeks of 100-hour weeks.
Oh, that's exhausting.
You know, 3, 4 in the morning. So, but just having that space has helped our production so much.
I bet. So what are the, go ahead.
I said the first thing I did was turn my chair in a circle, because in the other building I couldn't spin my chair.
So, her phone is like, is it gradually? Like first we saw like your sign, and then now we see lessons.
Well, I noticed the sign. I was like, oh dang, I didn't put it on the sign. So, there we go.
Now we're back.
I'm not a super
You're good. And you don't need to be. That's the beauty of this, is that it, you know,
real
you're normal people. So what are the logistics of running 50? Like how do you do that? Does each one have like a dedicated computer as well? Like, are they like USB? Like what?
Yes. So I'm going to stick my water under my camera.
Prop it.
There we go. Okay. So I really struggled at the beginning because we have like 2,000 sign options.
Mm-hmm.
So I was having to remember the names of 2,000 sign options.
I remember you talking about your new system. Yes.
So I would just be like, home sweet home, new, home sweet home, newish, home sweet home, and I just have to remember.
Totally.
And so I have a backup drive, and then I have my USB. So the backup has all of our files on it. So I'm able to just put my USB in and drag it over to create that list for the order.
Okay.
Well, we decided to start doing SKU numbers, which was brilliant.
Yeah, I need to do that for my website.
Yes. So when our order prints, it prints the SKU number. We've added those SKU numbers to all of our titles of our files. Now I can go in and hit the SKU number and not have to remember 2,000 sign names.
Right.
So it literally takes us seconds to create a file. It goes in a sleeve with the order. And then we put those in a tray. So the way we have it set up is each laser cutter operator, they run 3 lasers each.
Okay.
So they'll come get a sleeve, and then they'll put that order on those 3 machines, complete the order, go back, get another one.
Okay.
So
nice.
It's a pretty good system. I was spending like hours and hours and hours loading USB drives because, if you have multiple lasers, if it's running, you can't send the file over. So I would just have to sit there, and as soon as I open the lid, I'd be like trying to send as much as I could.
Send it right over,
Yeah. I was like, this is not working.
This is not effective,
Yeah, and especially last year we ran 3 shifts. So it was like, I'm not staying out there till 4 a.m. every morning.
Right.
So that's worked out really well, the USB system.
Yeah. And so they just sit there, and if their 3 lasers are loaded, they just sit there and like watch the machines, obviously, for fire and all that other stuff.
Yeah. So they watch the machines. We wrap our signs in saran wrap.
Okay.
And so, if they order multiples, if they order like 5, we'll stack 5 together and wrap them. So usually they're just staying busy between wrapping things, or occasionally they might have to like cut out something with a razor knife or.
Right. Yeah. Something that didn't go all the way through or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what made you choose Boss? Was that just like your first?
Yeah. So my husband did the research. He's ran a mill and all that stuff, but so he just found this Boss company, and their tech support 8 years ago was just amazing. Yeah. And that's why we kept with them, because, I could call them and they would call me back within 24, 48 hours.
Yeah.
Have my problem fixed. I mean, they would stay on the phone with me for hours.
Yeah.
So that meant a lot to us as someone who didn't even know how to run a laser.
Right.
So then we just continued. We stuck with them.
Right. Yeah. It's what you knew, and yeah.
Yeah. I do have a Mira and 9, I think. 9. Yeah. And I love it. Yeah. It's a workhorse. Like, I've never, knock on wood, I haven't had to change a tube, a power, nothing.
Yeah.
So
mine's been a little bit of a diva, but not bad. But thankfully, Eon has been amazing, just like you mentioned with Boss. Eon has been amazing with tech support. They know we're all in a panic, and they know we're all like freaking out if something happens or if we can't figure something out. And so I came from a Glowforge, and that didn't exist with Glowforge. You'd send them you sent an email, that was your only option, and then you waited sometimes up to several days for them to respond to you and ask more questions, for then you to respond and wait several more days. So it was just, it could take several weeks before you even really got like a solution or an answer or, whatever. So, going from that to this, we're like, at the time you could literally call tech support when I was with Eon. Now you have to actually, there's like submit tickets, and there's a system because, they're super busy now and selling a crap ton of lasers, but still, like you haven't lost a lot of that like support or help. It's just it looks different now because they needed a system to manage their business. But one thing I love that Danny had mentioned was when you're buying a laser, you are basically you're signing up as like a partnership almost with that company, because if that's what your business is centered around and you don't have the support you need if something goes wrong, like now your partner isn't there to help you out, and you got to find another way to make it happen. So
it's also more business to business than business to consumer,
right?
Where Glowforge is more business to consumer, who's starting off, who might end up in the business, but it's more to consumer.
It's more hobby.
Yeah, where it is, where like an Eon or a Boss, it's more like you're supplying a laser for a small business,
right?
So it's a little different of an understanding.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So with 15 lasers, what is your goal? Like, what are your like some goals that you have
can
for
I call
next?
you Dr. Evil? You like literally have sharks with laser beaks.
She does.
15 of them.
Sorry, what was the question? Got to thinking about
sharks with laser beams.
Yeah.
So like, what are some goals that you have? You know, if any, like next year. You know, with 15 lasers, like where do you go from here?
30.
So, I don't want any more lasers.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Like, you've got to kind of like max out at some point, and either just like make your processes more efficient. Like, you know, sometimes you're good where you're at now. You just need to tweak things.
Yes, exactly. So we've tried to come up with things to sell that didn't require the laser, just as a secondary, just something to help along the slow times.
Yeah.
So we've started selling wood blanks, and we do the Glowforge size, but we also ship the bigger 24 by 24 inch, which nobody really does.
Right.
So we're really trying to get into that just as a...
It's definitely limited. I mean, because it can be tougher to ship just because they're bigger. So it's not something every, small business or, supplier can manage. Yeah.
And one box of 25 is 45 pounds.
Ooh.
So, I mean, unless you're, running with UPS or somewhere with a discounted account, it could eat your lunch, because we do free shipping as well. Yeah. But, so we've tried to do that. And also, like, in the downtime, we did really well this last year. We put out our stuff way earlier, but we started bulk cutting stuff in July for fall, or June, about June. So by the time fall rolled around,
you just pull it off the shelf.
We were just, but we still customize a lot, so that does slow down our turnaround time.
Right.
And I've asked the group, I'm like, man, if you want this in like less than a week, we can take out the customs. And they're like, no, that's what makes our business.
Right.
So they're willing to, wait a little longer.
And so for the customs, what are those? Are they a wholesaler and you're kind of like their laser cutter? Like, are they submitting like their orders to you, or what does that look like?
Yeah. So I'd say 75% of our customers have paint studios.
Okay.
Or do paint parties. Okay. So they collect the orders for their parties, and then we'll cut them for them. And some of them might have like a last name or initial or something.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, and so then it's hard to, like, if being a wholesaler and kind of like a file designer, you have to be ahead of everything, because as a small business, you have to be ahead of it, several months ahead of it, because you need the time to make it, ship it, and it to arrive at their door. But if you're the people in front of them, which is the file designers and the blank sellers, you have to be ready even more before that. And I'm 4 years in, 3 years, I think, in selling files, 2 or 3, and I still struggle. Like, I still have Christmas stuff I want to make. And like, there was a post in Laser Elves group the other day, and they were like, do you still want to see Christmas files, or have you already moved on? Because some people, like, depending on how busy they are and what they have going on personally or business wise, they're cutting off orders like now.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's like, putting out a file, the likelihood, you're going to have potentially less buyers because people have already cut off orders.
Right.
And I'm last minute, Lucy. So I procrastinate on everything. I always think I have more time than I actually do. And so it's hard. It's still a struggle for me to have things done ahead of time, in order to allow that. I mean, basically I just have to think, if I put out a Christmas file now, I'm putting it out for next year.
Right.
Is the mind frame I need to have. Like I'm a year ahead of time instead of late.
Right.
Right. And that's what I've been doing. Like, I have other things like files that have come out, because typically by the time like some of my favorite file designers put stuff out, it's like I've already had that season out for a little while.
Right.
And so sometimes I'll catch it on the tail end and go ahead and make them for next year.
Right.
I'm online and, so they're just ready to go.
Right.
Something I've started doing for our wholesalers is I have like these releases, and they're just so much fun. Like our Halloween release, I was Ursula. Like, I don't know.
I love it.
I know it's cheesy, but
but I mean,
it's Halloween. It's not cheesy.
Also, like, I think doing the right amount of cheesy will like attract you attract the right, your people. Those are the people who relate, because it's fun. It's not like so stuffy, and it's just a way to switch it up. So I like that.
Yeah.
What do you guys have planned? Are you didn't downsize? You said you didn't want any more lasers. Are you looking to get rid of any?
No, we're set up for 20 here, so it could happen. But I kind of want to just like, we have 6 kids, and for 9 years, it's been just pure chaos of go, 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 go. And so the last 2 years, I've really tried to just like be content with where I was at.
Yeah.
Which is hard for a creative person, because you're always looking for that next.
You're always looking,
So I've tried to just really be content with kind of where I'm at, and just not push so hard.
Right.
And I'm just to that point in my business where I can do that. And still, we have 28 employees. So it's like, I worry about them, so I can't wax off too much.
Right. Finding the balance between keeping enough work for 28 employees, but then also having enough time to dedicate quality time to your family and 6 kids.
Yes.
Which I can't handle my 2. So.
Well, ours they're slowly leaving the nest. So.
Right. Yeah.
So we're down to just a few at home, but now we have
good. Yeah.
So
now what?
We have grandkids now. So
man. Yeah.
So it's just, maybe that's why I want to spend more time at home. I don't know.
Yeah, right.
but yeah. So I'm content with like where we're at as far as the lasers go.
Yeah.
But I know where there's lulls in my business. So for example, I know May and June are typically terrible months for us.
I found that out this year.
Yeah.
May and June was terrible for us. And it was when we started working on this expensive studio. And we're like, oh, great.
Right.
Perfect timing.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like, I was telling my sister this morning, I said, from September to December, it's like rolling in the dough.
Right.
And from January to June, it's like rice and beans. So I said, you really, especially these newer laser owners, like, you have to plan for those slow times. Like, don't spend all that money you made at Christmas, because you're going to need it come January, February, March.
Right. During the slow months. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but we've already started putting out like Valentine's, which last year that was we didn't put it out till after New Year's, which is super terrible on our part.
Right.
So this year I made it a goal to put out those holidays a little sooner, just so people can go ahead and order it in December and January, and not, it'll fill in the gaps for us a little better.
Right. Well, and almost like easier for them to afford it in a sense, because hopefully they haven't spent that money yet, because they just they have all the Christmas money and now they can order ahead for the next year where it might potentially be rice and beans time.
And I do want to just this is total random, but I posted pictures of like my lights on my machines. And so I was struggling. I'm like, there has got to be an easier way. This was before we moved into this building. And so we hired a manufacturing engineer to come in. He brought a stopwatch and he calculated like how long it took us to put the wood on, lift the lid, shut the lid, frame the sign, you know. And it really helped us with our bottlenecks of the business. So we added the lights, it's a visual aid, just because you hear the beep sometimes.
Sometimes,
our glass is so tinted. Our mirror is not as tinted, but our boss, they're like black. So you can't, and then if you open the lid, you're like, dang it. And then you shut it and have to restart because it's cutting. So the lights have been just an amazing thing for us. It has upped our production a whole lot.
And so you'll see it a lot sooner than,
And we're actually working on a program to help us with another bottleneck of framing and stuff like that, because, you know, we cut our boards at 24 by 24. All our files are between 12 and 22. So, and I nest, like if it's a one top, I'm fitting two tops on one board. But, so, you know, sometimes it's really tight on the edge and you're like frame. And I don't have a camera yet or any of that. I'm going to look into that, but we're just trying to find ways to make.
How many times did I frame that cup the other day when you were helping me?
Is it not center?
Is that like, is it good? Is it too far up? Is it too far down? And then like you'll frame it and you'll like, if it's a sheet, you know, you'll get it really good on that right side, but then you're like too far over on the left and then you got to adjust it and you got to frame again. Well, I mean, cameras come with their own difficulties too. So you kind of have to do the best that you can. Cause like, you know, I've considered, I need to set up my camera. I've had my camera on my laser since I got it and I've never set it up. But you have to kind of like calibrate it here and there. And it doesn't take, I don't think it takes a long time, but you have to like recalibrate it, you know.
Then you have to gain trust that with the image on the product is what's
thankfully what I want to use it for, I don't have to worry too much, because I just want to use it for cutting things in the scraps, like using the rest of my scraps for like just filler projects for that don't, you know, matter as much, that isn't necessarily like an order, but it's just so that I'm using the most of my material before, you know, tossing it. And that is not effective using the framing, because like I want to cut, like if I have a sheet that has like, you know, 6 random gaps in it, I want to be able to put something in the 6 random gaps and then just hit send instead of, I don't want to frame each individual, you know, and like odd shaped stuff, you know, it from the laser, it frames in a rectangle or a square. From the screen, from Lightburn, I can do like the shape, but even then that's not necessarily like perfect. So if you need to get it in some odd, you know, areas where a camera really helps. We were just talking, me and Heather were just talking the other day, because Glowforge users, you come from a camera and there's no red dot. There's no framing. And so your brain can't comprehend how people run lasers without a camera.
Know how you were going to do it.
Well, so I would always ask Emily, she'd come in, she'd be like, oh, we know, whatever. And somehow it'd come up that like she didn't have a camera. And I was like, we were always like, how do you do it without a camera? And she'd respond with a GIF that says like magic or whatever. Because I didn't understand, you know, how the framing and the red dot works. And now, like, I mean, when you put something somewhere, if it's in the wrong spot, it's usually your fault. Unlike with Glowforge and the camera, it was like, oh, it was the fisheye, or you know, the focus was off, or whatever. But yeah, Heather did actually a recent tutorial, I think, where she kind of covered like how and why you don't necessarily need a camera. There's situations where a camera would help, but that it's not, you know, required. Just a little camera tangent, because they're definitely helpful, but for the most part, for most laser jobs, you don't necessarily need them, except when now you're in the point where you're kind of like, you're trying to shave off like minutes or seconds to make things more effective instead of,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just to touch on the scrap, like you were talking about too. So when I have a file on my board, and say I have just a rectangle open, I will put a rectangle shape there and cut it out because it's way easier to store those than the stacks.
Especially if you have 24 by 24 sheets, and then it's like there's this like depending on how close you get to the edge. Now this is all like fragile and sharp if it breaks. Found out the hard way with acrylic. So you want to. Yeah, that's a really good idea.
Yeah, and so like this summer we were able to run like all our ornaments and all our stock stuff out of those scrap boards.
Nice.
That, normally would have been burnt, but they're still good pieces of wood. So
and I mean that's if depending on how you price your items, usually that board is already paid for in that order. So getting that scrap out of it and then being able to cut something else out of it, now you're really just out the machine usage and the labor. You're not out anymore. Like the material is at zero. Yeah. Because you're just getting, so those can be like, I mean, one in the Glowforge After Dark group, he showed all the little the fuck words for jars of fucks, and he's like, I've sold 2,000 of these, and he's like, it's all, as far as like materials, it's all profit because this is all his scraps that he's using up. And I've had that and a couple other things on my list for this stack of acrylic that I got to use that I keep procrastinating on because I don't have the camera set up. But he can't keep those in stock. He might actually have to use a not scrap sheet to make them. But then it's a fun gift and mostly all profit. So.
Right.
Yeah. And we go through, so we order 220, right now we order about 220 4x8 sheets a week.
Wow.
That cuts down to, 8 signs per sheet. So we go through a ton of wood. And so keeping those scrap is, it's been a big money saver.
Yeah, that's great. So do you have, that we haven't already covered, what advice do you have for a new or struggling laser owner?
I was thinking about this last night, and I would say to don't look at everyone else around you and try to do what they're doing.
Right.
And then you fail, and then you're frustrated and you just quit. You've got to find your own thing.
Yeah.
So when I started, like I said, I was painting furniture and having a booth and doing door hangers and
doing all the things.
And so when I really just narrowed it down and focused, I knew the door hangers were going somewhere. And so I chose that. I was like, we can really make a go of this thing.
Yeah.
And really just focused all that time and energy on that. So I would just say, figure it out. Don't be discouraged because you're not the top, seller or this.
Right.
Because things that sell for me don't sell for you, know? Yeah. And so figure out what does sell for you.
Well, it's hard with production. I saw a post from someone in one of the groups the other day, and she was like, she had too many offerings. She was like, I don't know how to turn. She's like, I have this thing that needs acrylic. I have this thing that needs wood. I have this thing that needs painted. I have this thing where I have to create a file. I have this thing where I already have the file. And she's like, I can't figure out how to make it to have it streamlined. And it's like, when you do too many, you can't focus on one. It'll actually take you longer. Focusing on only door hangers, you can hone in on your material, on your paint, on your glue, on the things that you only need for that, instead of having something for everything. So.
Yeah. And then you just have a better turnaround time, typically when and that's so important. like the turnaround
the
time.
world of Amazon. they've
Yes.
ruined all of us. We were talking in our the laser conference chat from last time. We've still kind of kept it going. And we were talking about how there was a post in one of the groups, and she was like, if I can get out a custom sign in one day, why can't the blank sellers get a blank out in one day, because they don't have to actually make it.
Right.
And it turned out that like she was upset, which she didn't include in the post. She was upset because she had made an order, and that business had said same day not delivery, same day shipping. That it would be out and ready to ship within the same day, and it had been several days. And it's like, okay, well that's different. Yes,
right.
if they say that it is available for that, it should happen. But it's like we were talking about how everyone has, us included, we're all spoiled with Amazon.
For sure.
And I'm like, I'll order something and I'll get it in a couple days from Amazon, right? But then I'll order something and I'll totally be sad if it takes like over a week to get to me. But then there's the part of like that thing that I ordered on Amazon that got here in 2 days. It's still in a box a week and a half later, and I haven't even used it or opened the box, but I'm like, I need it right now. So it's like even us as like purchasers or blank sellers, like I'm the same way. I want it right away too. So
remember when 3 to 5 was like the fastest?
Right. It was like, oh man, that's so fast.
And now Amazon will get it to you in the same day if you order the right thing.
Let's talk about Amazon fast. The medical. So we had to get a nebulizer for our boys because they've been having this cough like that doesn't go away. So we got a nebulizer, and we like ordered it through the doctor, and she was like, oh, it might take up to 2 weeks, whatever. Right. So we got a loaner through them, and we were sitting at breakfast the following day, and there's a doorbell. There's like a ring of the doorbell, and she's like, oh, medical equipment. And we're like, what? It was like 12 hours. And she like literally had just like, pulled up to our house and delivered it. And we're like, that's faster than Amazon.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, that's how it is right now. Yeah. So you're spoiled by that, and you gotta find the happy medium. So, like you were saying, you had mentioned at one point, you're like, oh, maybe we should just ship once a week when we were trying to manage everything. Right. And I was like, oh God, no. I'm like, I can't do that to people. I'd expect it, right away. But then you have to just find other ways to make your process streamlined so that you can offer something like that, because you are giving someone something that they then need to turn around and sell.
Yeah, exactly. And that's it. It's just, so I've had customers with me for 7 years, or at least.
Awesome.
And they have been with me through all that, like they've given me
the learning and the changing.
Yes, like, there are times at Christmas when I had 5 machines that it was taking me like 5 weeks to get an order out. I mean, it was just because we were cutting so much.
Right.
And they have just given me so much grace. And then now we're all to this point where it's like, a couple weeks and everybody's happy. So I feel like even moving forward, I'm working on getting that down even more. But yeah, that's a big thing.
I want to get to the point where we're just like coasting and making like little tweaks.
Right
now we're still
trying to
growing and figuring out our life.
It's been a learning curve. It still is.
I mean, it always will be, I think, because even as soon as you get a process, then something in the world will change that affects,
or you'll want to just grow and either add something else or pivot the business to something else.
Yeah, so, or there'll be something new to offer, or something's no longer trending,
which will kind of disrupt the streamline of the system, and you have to kind of rebuild.
Or new lasers, like there's a new UV laser that does stuff.
I want what is it? It's a UV, the
printer or the laser?
I want the printer.
Yeah.
Now I might have to look into the laser. I don't know about that one.
Yeah, so I don't know a ton about them, and I don't know if they're necessarily new or just new to me, or new, like people have been purchasing them more recently. But apparently they're really good on glass. but I don't really intend to use glass. So I got to make sure, see if there's other things that I want it for. But it's basically, they're similar to fiber lasers. And I think they might even be like faster, which is crazy because fibers are ridiculous.
Right. They're pretty fast.
Yeah, I want every year something new comes out, and I'm like, ooh, I want that shiny thing. Give me the new thing.
Well, and people have always asked, like, why didn't you get the bigger laser that could do a whole sheet of wood? And I'm like, because I didn't know it existed.
Yep.
I mean, we kind of jumped into the laser thing, and we've been going ever since, and we really are just kind of learning along the way. Like,
Yeah,
so.
you don't know what you don't know, so
exactly. Like,
you can do your research, but if it doesn't come across that Google search, what are you gonna do?
So
can you imagine the bow on a 4x8 sheet of wood? That's all I got.
Oh no! Yes, I can, because remember when we went to home, when I was still doing wood, we would go to Home Depot, and I'd grab the 1/4" or whatever plywood from there, and we'd go through and of course the stack of wood is here, not here. And so you're pulling them all down like head level, and then you get one down and it's like incredibly bowed, or there's mold on it, or there's like a huge knot, or it's just not quality.
Well, not even
and
that.
You pull down like 6, 10 or 6 of them, and then it'd be good. And then you think you chose a good one. You get to the checkout and you're like, shit, this one has something that I missed the first.
Right. Well, also Home Depot wood is known to be like, a little like wet. So like you cut it down, it looks fine in the store. You have them cut it down for you, everything. You get it home, you put it away, and then when you pull it to use, it has like a bow in there because it dried out and contracted or whatever. And
yeah, no, I would probably still work in the 24x24. Yeah, no, because that's like, how would you even do that? Would you can you even pin down a 4x? Yeah, no.
I have a 3655, so I despise that machine. It's like the right side will cut, the left side won't. The middle will do this side. So we cut 24" in it too. It's just. I don't want to mess with the big one.
Yeah, you're like, never mind. Did they slide you the discount code yet?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, where did
it go?
It disappeared.
Oh, my husband grabbed it. He came in. He was like, "Do you want lunch?" And I was like, "Writing salad." Okay, so like I said, we do ship 24x20. Well, it's actually like 23x23 inch.
Yeah.
Laser blanks. So we're going to do a 10% off, which is code is Christmas.
Nice. Okay. And
you also get free shipping. So use the code blanks for that.
And then, so can they combine the two? Is that how that works?
Yep.
Okay. And then what's the website that they would order from?
So they will go to, it's just whippoorwillcharm.com.
Okay.
Had I known we had grown to this point, I would definitely have changed the name to something easier.
Right.
But so they'll go there if they want to become a wholesaler. We do have whippoorwillcharmwholesale.com.
Okay, perfect.
So there's a lot more offerings on my Whippoorwill Charm page.
Okay.
We have like just the blanks and about 10 painted signs.
Nice.
On the wholesale page, we have the blanks plus about 2,000 signs. So
that's insane.
Yeah.
And then we won't mention it, but there is a code, as
for
always, for the patrons. It's a little bit sweeter. So if you want to know that, you have to become a patron.
Yeah. And you already mentioned the website. Where else can people find you?
So we are on Facebook, Instagram. We do really well on Pinterest. You might have seen us on Pinterest.
Nice.
And we're trying to get on TikTok. Clearly I can't even rotate the phone. So one of my teenagers that works here.
So hard. So a little tangent on that as far as that goes. So there's the Instagram Reels, and then now Facebook is doing them too. But thankfully those are kind of connected enough that you can upload it in one spot and it goes to both. But then there's your Facebook stories, and then there's TikTok. Now TikTok even has stories kind of now, temporary ones. And then YouTube now added shorts. And then Etsy added like their own shorts. And I'm like, no, I am done. I only do files. Like that's just my passive extra income right now with my files. And I'm like, I if I have it and I think about it, fantastic. I'll just upload something I've already made. But like I draw the line because like I want to learn Pinterest, but it's another thing. And I can't right now. I'm at max. There's so many things. So you kind of have to like choose one thing.
That's why a lot of people are starting to add to their staff, like social media people.
Oh yeah, I've highly considered it. It would be really hard for me because I'm a control freak, but I really do think that like even if it comes down to them like doing the draft for me and I say change this, change that, change this, and then yes, you can post it. Because do you have someone for that?
Oh yeah, so she's been with me for 5 years, I think.
Yeah.
Now I was kind of nervous because that's one of those like I have to pay her every month kind of people,
right?
You know? Right. But she has like, here's where I paid her. Here's where she has brought us.
Yeah.
So it was worth it. She was worth every penny. And she's a good friend of mine. She actually worked for my sister, and I stole her. Now she works for me.
Fine.
Yeah. So, but she does all my Facebook posting, Instagram, all that.
Nice. Yeah.
She set up my website. Like I don't have to think about any of that stuff. And then I have a girl that comes in. She's a high school senior, and she does our TikToks and stuff because
awesome. Yeah.
I just don't have time to learn how to do it.
Right.
Well,
and then they know it. They know
what's trending. They know. Yeah. I definitely the other one was a friend. See, a lot of people I talk to, when they find their like social media person, they're like, oh, I used to work with them. Oh, they're a friend. And I don't have any like old coworkers or friends that like do that kind of stuff. So I don't even know how to begin to find someone like that. But I feel like I really do. Cause we have the podcast that we have to post for. We have my Riley Black Designs page that I have to post for. That's more like my maker community. I have my course that I need to promote. I have like our physical products that we're offering now. And so it's just so many things. And even like when we have a new episode on Fridays or Mondays, like I have to post in like 4 or 5 different places. And I'm like, it's 2 sentences, but it takes me 30 minutes to an hour by the time I post all of them. And I would just love to have someone else to do that for me.
Well, and just think about it like this, like all that time you're investing into that, what could you be doing to grow your business?
Right.
Instead of doing that.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's worth it to me to pay $150 a month or whatever to not have to worry about it.
Oh, I'd do that in a second.
I have a girl that just answers my messages because I just mentally cannot do it.
Yeah.
I have 700 unread texts on my phone right now. Like,
oh my God.
I'm just here. I just cannot do it. So
the anxiety of seeing that number next to that bubble.
The bubble.
Next to that bubble. I'm like, oh my God. I hate seeing it.
She's the same way. The girl that answers, she'll take my phone and put like mark all as red. And I'm like, what? I didn't read those. She's like, I can't do the red bubbles.
Yeah. That's awesome.
But, and that freed up. I was answering messages till 3:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
Right.
And I couldn't answer them during the day. And then I'd have to stay up late answering them. So, I mean, just those little things have helped me to where now I can design more. Now I can research more. And,
Yeah.
So
spend it where it's more effective. Yeah. And where you don't like hate it. You know what I mean? If you don't like doing it and you don't like answering the messages and that kind of stuff, like you procrastinate on it and you kind of give it a little bit less attention than it needs. And, that affects your business too. So focusing on the things that you actually enjoy doing in your business and delegating the things that you don't like is huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, thank you for
it was great.
spending an hour with us or more. I don't even know how long we've gone, but it's close to an hour because we try to keep it to that.
Right.
Thank you for spending your time. And as always, thank you guys for watching and listening. And it's been another great episode of the Riley Black Project with Crystal and John.
Bye.
Maybe we're all done.